So today, Dr. Timo and I are doing our second video in this series of two, where we're going through how to read and most importantly, understand pet food labels. So before we start, Timo, how are you doing today?
Fine, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Bit chilly, but yeah, very good apart from that. Now, last week, we looked at, in video one, we looked at how to read the analysis from a pet food labels. And this week, we're going to be concentrating about the quality of the ingredients. How do we know to judge the quality of the ingredients on the labels? And also, we're going to be talking a bit about pet food standards, aren't we?
That's correct. So if you want to understand the labels, you have to understand A, the constituents, and B, the additives. So because they make the food together, right? So in the first video, we discussed the constituents. And right now, I would like to talk about additives. What does it say anything about the quality of the food? And what are the standards, where these standards are coming from? And why are they changing from time to time? And what food is complete? What is complete food? What is supplementary food? We will discuss about that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've got a presentation that we're going to talk you all through so that you've got the information in front of you, and we'll discuss each slide as we go along.
Yes, let's start. Let me share my screen. Okay. Where was I? Oh, all right. Here we are. Let's start with the first slide. All right. So quality of pet food, ingredients, additives, minerals and vitamins, and pet food standards by the Vibrant Animal team. I don't know who they are. So, so let's talk about ingredients. So the ingredients list is divided in two. You have first the ingredients that are the natural ingredients. It's the meat and the vegetables or rice, whatever there is. Then you have the additives. So, and you will see them as calcium, phosphate, what, and they have to be declared in different portions of the label. So they have to be declared as additives versus ingredients, right? So that means the additives are not part of actual ingredients. They are just added to the ingredients. So
I'm going to explain later why that is in terms of the standard, etc. So
that is correct. So natural ingredients are everything that is collected, farmed, or gathered as fruits, vegetables, although we are against it, grains, whatever, and they are making the typical ingredients of the food. You will see. Let's check a typical ingredient list. Let's say here. So we have British beef, green tripe, carrots, butternut squash, sea kelp, British turkey, apple, spinach, and Scottish salmon oil. So as you can see, none of these are lab made, right? So these are all natural things that are coming into the food. That's why they are called ingredients. So, and when you go, when you take any of the other foods that have this ingredients list, like here, it's beef, meat, and vegetable fiber, but you still have additives added directly underneath because they are not ingredients, they are additives. They are called differently. And you can see this is calcium, although they don't tell you in which form. We will talk about it later. So that means when we talk about ingredients and the quality of ingredients, we never talk about the additives. We just talk about what's naturally coming in meat, vegetable matter, fruit, whatever. So
I'd just like to add that to that. So if we could go back to the previous slide, Timo. So it's really, really important because marketing is a big influencer on our subconscious mind. And so a lot of people see, if they see something labeled as natural, they automatically assume that means good. But natural can also, as Timo said here, does not mean it's good quality, or even it's an ingredient that's appropriate for that species to be eating. So what might be natural for me as a human to eat and what might be natural for a dog or a cat to eat can be two different things. So it's very important that you're not sort of fooled by natural and thinking, so long as it says natural, I don't need to worry about anything.
Yeah, great point. I mean, we can make a point immediately. Let's say we talk about horses too. You would think that horses should eat plant matter and that's their food, but you can make a horse food totally out of inappropriate plants. And on the paper, it will still fulfill all the needs. Although it's not digestible, it's not good quality, it's nothing. Typical soy or whatever is used. So let's go to definition of meat and animal matter. So this is very important because this is where the most sleight of the hand tricks happen. So you buy a big bag of dog food or cat food that says chicken and rice, or yeah, and you don't know what part of chicken is even inside. You don't even if it's a real chicken inside. It can be a chick that was a male chick that comes out of the egg in the egg industry is useless. So it immediately is destroyed and made a paste out of it and sent to pet food companies to call it chicken meat. It's not even chicken yet. Or all the beaks and feet and skin and feathers, all unused parts are used as chicken. Although when you think about chicken, you think about chicken breast or part of the chicken that you would eat. That doesn't mean that that part is in this food. Actually, the chances of having actual chicken meat in any kind of chicken pet food is very low because those parts are sold to you to eat as human. And the rest, the junk, is used to make pet food. So just, for instance, when you buy meat, there are different qualities of mincemeat. I'm sure you all know. Some of them look darker, some of them look quite whitish. And why? Because those are mechanically separated meat. So they are still called meat. You can sell them as meat, you can buy them as meat, and you can use them as meat in pet food. But these are actually scraped meat residue from the skin of the bone. And that's quite light in color, but it's used as meat all the time. So if a pet label claims this is 65%, 75% beef meat, it's possibly, and highly possibly, that most of it comes from this separated meat that is from the bone after actually cutting all the meat to sell for the human consumption. Another typical meat that is sold, this is not low quality, but I will explain the reason, is stab meat. Stab meat is a part of the neck. And after the mad cow disease, especially in Europe, you cannot sell stab meat. So this is the point where the animal was stabbed to bleed when it's slaughtered. You cannot sell it to human consumption because it had a lot of contact with outside and the blood. So the only thing you can do is sell it to the animal consumption. That's the highest quality of meat you can find in pet food. And it's still a lot of money. So most of the companies would never, ever use stab meat. Only the premium companies use it.
Okay, Timo. So a question we see on a lot, certainly things like the raw frozen food or the higher quality end food, have always got a label saying sort of, or quite often they market it as human quality meat used. Yeah. So does that mean anything in terms of quality?
Okay, so actually, from the regulation, the animal and the human consumption meat is slaughtered in the same slaughterhouse. It's the same animal. The moment the pet food company buys that meat, it becomes third grade meat because it's going to be used in animal food, pet food production. So all of them can claim this is human grade meat because it's the same animal still. That said, there are body parts that are not sold to human consumption and they are forbidden to be sold to human consumption. And those can be used. So they are pet food grade meat from the very beginning. But if they say human grade meat, stab meat is human grade meat, as long as it's the same part of the body. But there are a lot of meats that are not human grade. So this is misleading, but mostly also means that we are not using any of the forbidden parts of the animal, like the beak or like the feet or like the skin, that a human wouldn't buy and eat.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now we come to additives after we have the ingredients sorted out. By the way, when we are still at the ingredients, don't forget the quality of the ingredients we will talk about has nothing to do if it's natural or not. So this doesn't define the quality. Even organic doesn't always define the quality. We will talk about it. So let's come to additives. These are additives because they are added extras to complete the food. What does it mean? So the easiest way to sell pet food to bigger masses is to make it complete. That means the person buys it, just puts it into the bowl and forgets about it because it has everything that the dog needs, right? Okay. So yeah, that is correct. And we will talk about that too. Why it is supposed to do and it doesn't actually do. So, and to make that happen though, a highly processed food that is so deficient on so many things have to fulfill certain criteria, and that can be only obtained by adding cheap but effective ingredients to it to make it complete, right? So these are the additives. So it can be minerals, vitamins, coating agents, flavor enhancers, colors, preservatives, special salts. We will talk about that. That's an important one. As those typical common additives, and they have to be on the label. So there are some additives which are not on the label, and we will talk about that later too.
Okay, so before you move in from this, when we're talking about additives, are we always talking about what we would call lab-made or synthetic vitamins and minerals, or would they sometimes be from natural sources as well?
It can be from natural sources as well, but that's a slippery slope because when they are naturally obtained in full form, they become normally ingredient.
Yes.
So it will be added there. But sometimes there are extracts that are from natural sources, which are additives listed under additives because you can have vitamin C extracted from aronia or acerola, and then still sell it, put it as acerola powder or vitamin C powder, right? Then you add it to the vitamin C.
Yeah. But so, generally speaking, I think most companies, if it came from a natural source, they would be proud of that and state that. So, for example,
that's correct.
We'll see as we move forward, everyone. I just want to draw your attention that anytime when we're looking at additives, it normally means that the main food ingredients have not got enough of the required vitamins and minerals, so they're having to add it in from an extra source that can be synthetic or man-made or lab-made.
That's correct. And one more caveat is that it can be these same additives, lab-made things, can be also in organic pet food because organic or not, these are not possibly made in any other way. Therefore, they can fit into the organic food, and you might think they are organic, but they are lab-made. They are not organic at all, right? Okay, so let's go to the minerals part. So I want to add something. So minerals come in two different packages, organic and inorganic. In this case, organic doesn't mean they are organic certified in terms of cultivation quality. Organic means they are connected to carbon, oxygen, hydrogen type of compound, and they are not just the mineral itself, right? And they are mostly called chelated minerals because they are connected to a chelating agent. But you can still have also chelating inorganic agent like zinc, but that's too deep, so don't talk about it too much. I just want to say that when we talk about organic minerals, it means it's connected to our organic compound and it's not just the mineral itself. So you can have chelated and inorganic minerals and minerals connected to amino acids. That's what the body loves the most. The minerals, especially zinc and copper, connected to some of the amino acid or sulfur. That's the most, how do you say it? The best quality ones. Yeah, bioavailable and the best, highest quality for the body. So they have less side effects and they have more than one effect. It's like if you say potato chips or potato crisps in for the Brits, is junk food because it has almost nothing else than just energy. That same goes for the minerals. If they are connected to an amino acid, they come as a mineral and amino acid. So they are a complete package. If they just come in a mineral form, like in water, they are more junk because they just fulfill one role and not that very good. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right, good. So calcium, phosphorus, sulfur, selenium, zinc, and copper are the most critical ones as additives, because calcium is 3% of the body. It's just very high amount, and it has to come in all the time because it's used all the time. So that's why calcium is the most additive. It's the most prominent additive. It has to be added to everything because nothing except bone is high in calcium in most of the pet foods. So if the food doesn't contain enough bone itself, calcium has to come in. The problem here is, though, that calcium has to have a certain ratio to phosphorus. So if you go to certain food labels, let's say here, we will have here calcium is 1.3% and phosphorus 1.16%. The ratio is not very good. The phosphorus is too high, the calcium is too low. Although it will fulfill the needs of let's say FDF or AFCO, it still doesn't mean it's optimal. We will come to that again. We were talking about it. The standards doesn't mean the quality is high. It's about survival, not thriving.
So we're going to explain the standards, everyone, later on in the slides.
That's correct. We have to go deeper in that. And don't forget, certain minerals, like everything else in life, when they come in a certain form, they might be even dangerous. We'll talk about it later, but selenium is a very good candidate for that. All right. So let's come to vitamins. So most of the vitamins you will get are artificial because that's the cheapest way to do them. But the problem is, although they are accepted as the same vitamin, they are not chemically the same compound. They have different forms, and a lot of studies show that they don't have the same effect, and sometimes they have contradicting effects, like folic acid. In one form, it's super good for the body. That's the natural form. If it's in this form, it can even stop you from absorbing the real one and using the real one. It's a dangerous one. On the other hand, vitamin D3 is a very common one. It's very bioactive. It's used. It's an easy compound to produce, and it's important compound to have. But yes, so most of the vitamins are definitely 100% lab made, and they cannot really fulfill the role of the natural vitamin. The problem is, when you produce your pet food at 120 degrees to 165 degrees, most of the vitamins cannot survive. They don't even stay relevant the first 10 minutes. After the first 10 minutes, they're just gone. That's why they have to be added, because they're just destroyed.
Before we move on, there's just a little spelling mistake at the end there, a common additives. We just need to expand the box out.
So all right. All right.
There we go. Just so that when we're doing the science set. So yeah, so it's a really important to realize that often they're adding these additives back in because the way the food is processed destroys a lot of the natural goodness.
That is correct. So, and most of the ingredients that are chosen for especially mid-price to low-price food, they're already deficient. Bad quality, bad soil, bad agriculture practices, depleted soils. So they are already very low on everything. So after the previous food is checked on, okay, let's say it like this. Most of the additives are added regardless of the quality of the food. That means they are formulated to fulfill the needs of AFCO or FDF, and that's added in it. There is no discussion. There is no even checking the quality of the food, really, because these are the minimum needs. So just add them and be done with them, because the food is possibly deficient anyway, right? This is how they are formulated mostly.
Okay, so talk us through before we go any further, because some people won't understand that last statement without understanding these standards. So just talk us through what these abbreviations of the standards mean, Timo, and then that'll make sense to people.
All right, so pet food manufacturers come together and they create an authority to self-regulate. And this authority works together with professors from pet nutrition faculties and professors who are good in animal nutrition, and they follow their guidelines. Although I have to say, AFCO doesn't follow the guidelines of the highest level of university, but let's leave that aside. And these standards are followed and forced upon every manufacturer if they want to call their food complete. That means actually the pet food industry itself decides what is complete, what is not complete. And this is a huge problem because what they deem as totally enough for survival might not be. And some things might be even too much, like vitamin D. The regulated amount of vitamin D is just ridiculous for dogs. It just doesn't make any sense. But this is the regulation. And all pet food companies have to follow them, right? So Americans have the AFCO, Europeans have the FIDF, UK is a jungle now. We will see what happens there because till now they follow the FIDF. But you also have what's called DAFRA or something. You have your own food safety regulating body, which is a very strong one, but it only regulates the bacterial quality of the food. But yeah, so that means according to AFCO and FIDF, if the food contains certain amount of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids in a certain shape and form, that's accepted, and that's good quality food. That we are happy with that. But that this definition doesn't regulate anything, like quality of any food. I mean, you can take the carrots from the junk that was thrown out from the supermarket and put them in the food. They don't care about that. That's still carrot. That's still this, all good. And the vitamins and minerals, they don't care how bioavailable they are. As long as the numbers fit, it's all accepted. Actually, if you look at the regulations, the regulatory bodies really force you to use the premixes because without them, you can never fulfill their needs. It's very hard, especially in mid-price and low price point. It has to be really high price point to go there, right?
Yeah. So it's a bit like, you know, you could take a dinner, you could take a meat and 2 veg dinner, and you could have it cooked in a canteen where they boil every bit of goodness out of it, and yet you're still selling it as a meat and 2 veg. So it's a very difficult one because people have a false confidence that think that if food is sold as complete and it says it meets one of these relevant standards, depending where you are in the world, that means it's a good quality food for your dog or cat. And unfortunately, that is not the case at all. You as an owner, you do need to dig a lot deeper than that. You cannot take this as an insurance that you're doing the best thing for your animal.
That is correct. So, but yeah, just, you know, AFCO and FIDF, they are just the regulatory bodies of pet food industry, which they create themselves with the support of some professors and other, let's say, scientists from the field. And they deem what's right, what is wrong. And if you want to call your food complete, you have to follow their lead. Well, it rhymed. But if you don't want to follow their lead, you can also produce pet food, but you cannot call it complete. Yeah, so there is the trick. Then there is then the supplementary dog food. So you have to call it a supplementary dog food, or because it means that you have to add it to something or something to that to make it complete, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at the common additives you will see on the labels. So calcium phosphate, we will talk about it. That's a very dangerous one. Sodium selenide, that's a dangerous one. Niacin, that's a useless one. Taurine, that's a very important one. We will talk about it, especially if the food tells it's vegan or vegetarian. This becomes really important. But all the grain-free foods that cause a lot of trouble with the dogs and cats with the cardiomyopathy. This is an important topic. Nitrate and nitrate, what are those? So why are they important? Also, carrageen, we will talk about it. That's Catherine knows one or two things about it. And calcium carbonate, this is a very typical chalk just added to the food, so the calcium numbers are right. So feeding dogs and cats with chalk regularly. So these are common additives, and you will find them everywhere. So let's come to the calcium phosphate. All right. So all grains and all meats are really rich in phosphorus and very poor in calcium. Muscle meat has almost zero calcium, so very low. And a lot of grains, especially if they're whole grains, but even if they are not, are full of phosphorus. So phosphorus is the most important component to make energy. There is no doubt about it. Without phosphorus, no energy can be produced in the body. It's super important. The problem is phosphorus is like nuclear waste product. So once it's used, you have to get rid of it. And to get rid of it, you need the equal amount of calcium. So let's say your food is normally rich in phosphorus, and you add enough calcium to make the number of the calcium right on your label in the form of calcium phosphate. So again, for each unit of phosphorus, you need 1 unit of calcium. If you add calcium phosphate in your food, you have no calcium added, because this all calcium that comes with the phosphate together will be excreted with the phosphate together, right? So this is the useless thing for the body. But because it adds to the calcium, and on the label, it's accepted as a good source of calcium. It's totally misleading, right?
Yeah, completely misleading, because it's not taking into account at all how these are used within the body.
That is correct. So that's why we are adding it to the how to read the labels, how to understand the labels, because just because it says it has calcium phosphate to add calcium doesn't mean this calcium can be used, because it's bound to phosphate, which has to be excreted, and it will be excreted together with it.
Yeah.
So let's come to sodium selenite. This is important. The way sodium selenite works is highly carcinogenic, and it's proven. There is no doubt about it. So selenium can come a part of as the amino acid. That's very, very good. It works well. This form is not good for the health of the dog or cat. So niacin, I'll jump. It's not that important now. Taurine is important because most of the foods that use very cheap parts of the animal are very, very poor in taurine. Taurine is a very important ingredient, especially with cats. It's essential. That means if they don't get it from the diet, they die, and they literally die from heart disease, and from they lose their sight, and they have nervous problems. And dogs die from it because most of the foods that are poor in taurine are also poor in the amino acids that can be converted to taurine. That means either way the taurine is in or not, they cannot produce it because the rest of the amino acids are also missing, right? So this has to be added. If you have high amount of taurine in the food, like pedigree proplan, it normally is better for the heart on the long term than most of the dog foods that have less of it. But the best taurine is the one that is in the meat naturally. And for cats, that would be raw feeding or close to raw feeding, and with your home prepared meal.
Using the right parts of the meat, because a lot
that
of
is correct.
Still will only feed, say, chicken breast meat or something, which has got
that doesn't have much to offer. No, but mostly liver is the best source of taurine.
Yeah.
So nitrate and nitrate. So this is actually very important one, and hear me out on this one, because this is also important for your cat safety. So nitrate and nitrate are two salts that are used to regulate bacterial growth and activity, and keep the acidity of the food in check for sausages and canned dog and cat food. And these are damaging the kidneys. And we all know it. Everybody knows it. All vets know it. the industry knows it, but they have safe levels, right? The problem is the moment you remove nitrate and nitrate from the pet food industry, all the canned food goes away. So nobody wants that. That's why it's still, I don't like the word that much, but it's still tolerated.
Yeah.
Right? So nitrate and nitrate kills your cat's kidney. Dogs are a bit more resistant to it, but cats are really having, most of the cats that have kidney problems have them from canned food or wet food. And that comes from nitrate and nitrate. The same goes for sausages that you eat at home. Most Brits eat those sausages all the time. And don't forget, if you have a huge sausage that's used in like a hot dog or something, 2 of them can kill 1 cat if they eat it in 1 day. It can cause kidney failure immediately. That is how much nitrate and nitrate are in those sausages, dry sausages, raw sausages, right? Yeah, carrageenan is a filling agent made from seaweed, and that can cause heavy problems. Try to avoid any food that has this. Normal, if the food has real seaweed in it, that's not a problem. But this is a filling agent made from seaweed that nobody would use as a food. And it's a very cheap ingredient. Try to avoid it. Then we have calcium carbonate, which is the chalk, or which is seashells and all that stuff that is not living anymore. And try to avoid it because its bioavailability is low and it increases the inflammation in the body. Actually, if you don't want to go to work, just swallow half a chalk and you will get high fever. You can go to doctor. You say you have high fever, you get 2 days free. It's a tip. It's a tip I can give you if you don't want to work or go to school. So
we're not recommending you eat that, Charles.
No. It's a
Brits are very high on the health and safety, but no, it is a good point. So it's so upsetting to see. I was speaking to a client today, Timo, and going through, he's got a new Labrador puppy. So we were going through a lot of this stuff today. And it's just so upsetting to think that these things are promoted as beneficial when actually they can have so many negative effects on the body. It's just such a shame because there's no way that most people would know this.
That is correct. And as we talked before, food is by definition physiological. So if you have something that has side effects all the time, even in small amounts, that's not food.
Yeah.
And you cannot accept it as food. But because dog food and dog food generally, but cat food is so specialized because cats are so picky, we tolerate things that we shouldn't actually tolerate at all. Right?
Absolutely. And I think this is why it's so important. We're going through this because most people feed their pets. And in fact, a lot of people feed themselves packaged foods in various forms. But it's so important that we realize that when you feed real good quality foods, a lot of these problems disappear. That's
correct. Yeah. So we are always talking about quality of the food, but let's define the quality because this is okay. I don't want to call different brands, but let's give an example. I have friends who told me they are feeding one of the best dog foods, and I said, "What's the brand?" And they told me it's Royal Canin, and I start to laugh. And because they pay a lot, they think it's a very good dog food, right? So for most of the people, quality means high price, but that's not the case. I don't mean that low priced food can be good quality, because that's not possible with animal matter. But high price doesn't guarantee good quality at all. And I will explain that, why I think that. So quality of ingredients in terms of organic, free range, or conventional farming. So free range is sold as something super special. But if you have chicken or turkey, free range means there is one hole on the wall and maybe 5 square meters open field for the chicken to get out, that they never go out because they are too heavy to move. These are free range chicken. And you might think that they are free range, but they aren't. Just
I've actually been to some free range farms and I was absolutely horrified, because until I did that, I assumed free range meant they were roaming in a lovely big field of good quality at pasture, and it absolutely does not mean that. And again, it's very upsetting for people who are trying to make the best decisions when they've suddenly realised how misled they've been. But organic is a higher standard, isn't it?
That is correct. Organic doesn't mean what's in the food. Organic means what's prohibited to use by growing this food. And this is good because a lot of nasties are not accepted. For instance, GMOs are not accepted. GMO feeds are not accepted. Growth factors are not accepted. This. A lot of things are not accepted. That's really good. But still, organic doesn't mean your food is nutritious.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what entails the feed of that animal. Don't forget, a chicken, most of the chicken you can eat, all the animals get in their food, is 33 days old. So from an egg till this huge thing in 33 days. So this is a huge amount of genetic manipulation. Doesn't mean that GMO, by the way, but they are bred to reach certain growth rates and they are not healthy. Most of these animals cannot even walk or move properly. They cannot procreate. They are getting out of an egg, and in 1 month, they are the full-size chicken. And sometimes they are this big. It's impossible. You cannot believe in it. So, okay. So one term for quality is in organic, free range, or conventional. The second one is the body parts and other ingredients used, as we talked about before. Organic carrots mean the beautiful orange carrots, or the thrown away half molded carrots, or the ones that nobody wants to buy carrots. They can be all organic. But the difference is huge in quality. You can have organic carrots from Farm 8 that tastes super delicious and juicy. You can get 2 weeks later another one from Farm B that is so dry and the soil is empty. There is no real fertilizers used in terms of organic fertilizers, and the soil is depleted. So that means organic doesn't mean the ingredient is full of nutrients. Yes, this is important. Again, organic is always better than everything else, for sure, safer, for sure, but it doesn't guarantee the quality of the ingredients, right? No, nutrients, sorry.
Putting it into perspective for people, Timo, because this is, again, so if you are preparing your own food, whether it's for yourselves or your pets,
yeah,
you're seeing the raw ingredients. So you'll see that the carrot isn't moldy. You'll see that the chicken isn't full of fat, or the beef isn't full of fat. But when something's ready-made for you, you don't have the opportunity to see that. So of course, if you're buying something ready-made, organic is important. However, as Timo's saying, it doesn't guarantee it's good quality. So again, seeing the ingredients in their natural state as possible will enable you as a consumer to be able to make a sensible decision as to whether whether it's a meat part or fruit or vegetable looks vibrant and looks healthy.
That's correct. And the last part is the quality of the formulation. This is, of course, most of the consumers, I would say 99%, 99%, have no idea what pet food formulation is and how does it look. It looks like looking on charts, making the FIDIAF or the AFCO rules fit for the best price. This is pet food formulation. So you get a price point that you have to fulfill, and you try to add everything accordingly so the numbers are right, and everything that is not right on the numbers you add as additives, as we talked before, and then you make it for the best price. So most of the food that you pay 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds per kilogram are produced under half a pound per kilogram. That's production cost. That's very low. So the markup is very high, and you think that you are buying good quality food because the pictures are so nice and there are a lot of ads here and there, but it doesn't mean anything, right? All right, let's go to, last video, if you didn't watch it, both Catherine and I worked together with Rocketo before. So this is typical ingredients list here. So here is a bit of different approach. Here, organic beef meat means really meat. It's not any skin or anything. This is really muscle meat, because then we have the beef livers. That's really liver. There is nothing else inside, like heart or something. Coconut flakes from Sri Lanka, apple cubes, chia seeds, brewer's yeast. This is real brewer's yeast, not an extract from somewhere. And you can see here, because they're organic, the quality and where does it comes from, right? This is important because this company tries to tell you where the ingredients are sourced from. And even you cannot see the quality, you can see at least the list. It's not China, it's not somewhere you don't want to. But this is, I put this here from the last, we had it last week too, to show that you have huge amount of additives here. So you have 4, 8, 10, 11 lines of additives. And if you read this, this is a high protein, good amount of fat, crude fiber is good, everything is nice. If you see here, if you just look at here, this food is amazing, right? But the moment you go up, you see that, oh my God, so this thing is full of premix, right?
Premix, Timo was saying there, sorry, it dropped out a bit.
Yeah, premix. So, and here is the AFCO statement, it's complete food. So that means all the ingredients here, all the additives you see here are only put in to fulfill what AFCO says. Has nothing to do with the quality of the food, the health of your dog, nothing. It's just to fulfill the standard that the body.
And can I just say, can you just go back to that slide, Timo? So an important thing I really want people to understand is as soon as you see this whole list of premixes up here, you know there's got to be something wrong or unoptimal in the way that food's produced, because it means by the very nature that they've had to add in all those additives to make it meet even the basic standards, which aren't that good, means that the processing to make that food has destroyed virtually all the nutritional value of it.
Yeah, or the ingredients were so low in quality from the very beginning, they didn't even contain enough of anything, right?
Yeah.
All right, then one more thing after, about the standards when we are here already, because I see the AFCO here. So one more thing important is, for instance, here is vitamin D3 supplement. The FIDIAF and AFCO do not care if it's vitamin D2 or D3. So you can say it's vitamin D and add a lot of vitamin D2, which is far lower efficient for absorption and less effective in total. But you can still cover the vitamin D with those numbers and cheat. So you can add the cheaper thing and still claim that the vitamin D is the right amount. Same goes with the vitamin B12 supplement. It doesn't say it's a methylcobalamin, hydroxycobalamin, adenosylcobalamin, nothing. It doesn't tell what cobalamin, which cobalamin it is, which is an important thing because it changes totally the absorption rate, the efficiency, and all that stuff, right? So I have some other slides here just to talk about different formula. So this is a cat food beef formula, and we can see here that we have all the additives listed here. Here too. So they didn't divide it as additives, but they added all of it. So there is nothing wrong with their label. But as you can see, they have a lot of added vitamins: vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, B6, B12, and they put here calcium phosphorus ratio 1:13:1. This is very low. Not enough calcium for the bone, not enough calcium for the nervous system. This is not good. Okay. So let's go to the next one. We had it last week too, but I have to put this. This is so important. So this company claims to have no additives. Look, because we know, right, the additives are not good. It means the food is bad, or additives can be colorants and all these things. This company says no GMO, no wheat, no soya, no fillers, no additives, right? No preservatives, no artificial colors or flavors, well, although they are all additives, but it's okay. And of course, no meat, because this is a vegan dog food. So let's go to the next slide. This is their site. This is the exact next thing. Nutritional additives. So now we have all the additives they added here that actually they shouldn't have, because they say no additives, right? We have vitamin A, 10,000 international units, vitamin D3, 200 international units. And don't forget, international units change according to what they are. That means international units of vitamin A can be 25 milligram, and the vitamin D can be 5 microgram. So international units is not a simple unit. And yeah, you can see that they put L-carnitine. And why do that? Because no plant food has carnitine in it. That means if you have a vegan, and carnitine is an important thing for the meat eater. Same goes for taurine. So we talked about it already. Methionine. Oh, this is important, because without this amino acid, your dog cannot produce taurine. And this is something that contains selenium normally. So this is, as you can see, then we have zinc sulfate monohydrate. This is not a good thing. Copper as copper sulfate, and as you can see, again, sodium selenide. This is really not good at all. But let's go back. No additives, same label.
Terrible,
no.
isn't it? Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's why we make this course, so you can really see through those tricks. Okay, so here is a frozen dog cat food, and the good part is this cat dog food do not follow the regulations to call it complete. So they had something that is beef meat 99%, vegetable fiber 1%, and calcium added 1,370 milligrams per kilogram. This is not bad at all in a sense. Of course, it says a bit too much fat for us, but generally speaking, they didn't follow the typical add a lot of premix stuff to just call it complete stuff. They just made a sausage out of meat and sell it as meat, which is commendable, in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Catherine, but I think it's...
really like this, because they're being very transparent. They're not trying to fool you by adding loads of other things and make you think it's that. And as we said last time, the only thing we'd like to see added to this is perhaps give you some suggestions as to what natural ingredients you could use. But that might be over and above. Perhaps that's something they could add to their website for people, because they don't call it complete. But if you just fed your dog or cat this, it wouldn't be balanced, but they're not telling you it is. So that relies on the owner to know that they need to balance it out. But I like this. I love the plain simpleness of it, and the fact that it's not got much artificial added to it.
And it's actually not a bad starting point for you if you cook at home. So you can take this one and add your extras, and you're done actually. Okay, so let's come to this. So this is an interesting one, because this is a frozen, complete and balanced raw food for cats. So they say it's complete and balanced. All right, so we are looking at it. Protein is 15% and fat is 16%. This is not balanced at all for cats, because too much fat for cats. But it is complete in terms of the regulatory bodies, because they have salmon oil containing most of the fat-based vitamins they need, bilberry powder and sea kelp having all the minerals and vitamins they need from plant matter. Brewer's yeast cover a lot of protein and vitamins. And British chicken with bone, this is okay. British lamb with British lamb heart, this is okay. And British lamb liver. As you can see here, lamb and chicken does not have any lamb meat in it. It has heart in it, and it has liver in it. But when you think about lamb, you would think about lamb meat. It doesn't contain any of that. So this should be actually chicken and lamb. But okay, lamb sounds more expensive. And then British chicken with bone, we don't know how much bone is inside. This is important. And we don't know what part of chicken is inside. That's also important. That said, this food is automatically better than most of them because A, there are no additives. B, it contains at least 5% of liver, which is 50% of how much it should be, but much better than any of the foods. They don't have any liver at all. And the heart is high in phosphorus, yes, but quite a good quality meat for consumption for carnivores.
Can I just say, though, about how I absolutely hate to see these salmon oil? Could you just go back, please?
Yeah, this has it too.
It's on this one again. It's another one here. It's a dog food equivalent. But the trouble is, all the Scottish salmon oil is farmed salmon. And anyone who's familiar with the Dirty Dozen list in terms of some of the most contaminated foods on the planet, salmon is right there at the top because farmed salmon is highly, highly toxic. So I would much prefer them to see them not have the salmon oil in there.
Right. So here we have green tripe, which is good because on a raw food, tripe, if it's green, it's an amazing component. Although 40%, I wouldn't give it daily. This is just too heavy, too one-sided. So this balanced part is also, again, not really balanced. In my opinion, of course, your opinion might be different. So carrot, okay. Butternut squash, okay. Sea kelp, good. But the problem is most of the sea kelp from Scotland and Ireland and Wales is not seen as human grade because they contain a lot of heavy metals. Sugar kelp is a different story, but sea kelp is known to carry a lot of heavy metals. So I don't see this as safe for the cat and dog on long term. I don't think that eating from time to time would be a problem, but they contain just too many heavy metals and other things that prohibits the sea kelp farmers to sell it to human consumption. Right? So again, British turkey with bone. How much bone? We don't know. What part of turkey? We don't know.
And I must say, Timo, I'm seeing a lot of clients over the years who are making every effort to feed a raw frozen diet, which is really commendable. But a lot of their dogs or cats are having constipation issues, which is often due to the bone content.
And to the high fat content.
And to the high fat content, yeah.
Yeah, so because the fat is just, okay, we talked last time about percentages. I'm not going to go into that again. But as you can see, the amount of fat and protein is the same. So can you imagine in your body having the same amount of fat as your muscle? So no animal has as much fat as except maybe a walrus or something.
Yes.
So no animal has that. So it's if you're not a polar bear, you cannot digest that much fat. It doesn't make much sense, right? All right, that's the end. Do you have any questions, Catherine, or do you want to go back to anything?
No, I think, it can be quite depressing for people. A lot of people get to this point and they think this is just so depressing. There's nothing healthy that I can feed my animals or myself, because of course, everything we've spoken about today, the principles apply to human food as well. So what I'd like to say to people is knowledge is power. So when you know this, you can look at your lifestyle, look at your budget, look at your time constraints and make the best balanced decisions for your pets. So as Timo and I are saying, a lot of the time, some of the raw frozen ones, they might have some things we're not overly keen on, but feeding them as part of your pet's diet could be appropriate. But to feed them as a complete, as if that's all they're getting, could cause problems. And also now when you know how to look at the labels, it really brings home, as a society of humans and taking responsibility for our animals, we really do have to move back towards feeding real food in as natural a state as possible, because even though, yes, there are some balance issues there, that is what we're all evolved to eat. And so I would say, even if you can do 1 or 2 meals of home prepared yourself a week, that will still make a huge difference to your pet. And the more you do it, the easier it gets and the less stressful it gets. So wherever you're at, just start. So if you're feeding tinned or kibbles, start going on, even if it's pre-bought raw, and then, or air dried or something, whilst you help yourself start to home prepare. And then variety is key. Every little step that you make in the right decision will make a huge difference to your dog or cat's health. So don't be afraid to just start somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. Well said.
Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, bye.